Before I even get into today's video, let me just say first and foremost, like I'm super thankful for everything I've been able to accumulate, everything I've been able to gain. If it wasn't for God and it wasn't for the family and friends I have around myself, none of this would have been possible. Well, out of being inspired by Casey Neistat, who put out a video today, I saw that it's basically around being poor versus being rich. I thought I would do a video because I'm someone that's been poor in my life. I'm someone that's spent most of my life as kind of like someone in the middle class, and nowadays I'm rich. And by the way, there are levels to being rich, okay? I'm like lower class rich. Let's keep that in mind, okay? Just like there are levels to being poor, right? Poor to someone in the United States might be different than someone in a third world country or something like that, right? There are levels to everything in this game. Even in the middle class, there's kind of like you're in the lower middle class, or you could be in the upper middle class, right? And when you're rich, there's also different levels, okay? I'm very lower class rich. Let's put it that way, okay? So I thought I would just kind of take you guys through like what are the differences? What can you expect as you kind of climb the ranks? And don't get excited if you expect some things and it doesn't turn out that way once you reach the levels. That's just what I'm going to be honest with you guys, okay? Now, as far as the same, as far as the mentality or just how I felt and things like that, or what happened in life, as far as being poor versus being rich, there's no difference in happiness. I'm just going to be completely honest. I'm the same level of happy when I was poor or middle class as I am nowadays that I'm, someone that's rich, okay? I think a lot of people think that if they just get to become rich, if I could just be a millionaire someday, if I could just be part of the 1%, oh my gosh, my life would be so great. I would be so happy. And I'm just going to tell you, it's completely BS, okay? If you were miserable as a poor person or someone in the middle class, you're probably going to be miserable as a rich person. That's why you see a lot of people that are rich and you're like, why are they always so grumpy? Why do they complain? If you're someone that's involved yourself in that type of class, right, where you're around those type of people, either because there's work or because those are family members or friends, and you might see them and you're like, man, they got so much money. Why are they depressed? Or why aren't they happy? Or why aren't they smiling? Or why do they always complain about something? It's probably because they were that same person when they were poor or back when they were middle class. It's just because you get rich doesn't mean automatically like all your feelings inside get fixed. Maybe in the very short term, those things can kind of go away. But I'm just telling you, if you expect to like get rich and you're going to all of a sudden be happy and you were miserable before, it's just not the way it goes, guys. I'm going to be completely honest with you. And that's coming from person after person. If you were happy when you were poor or middle class, you were happy in life, like you're going to probably still be happy when you're rich. And if you were miserable, it's probably going to be the same thing, okay? There's also no difference in drive for me personally. Like when I was just as driven when I was poor or middle class as I am nowadays. The drive is still there. Maybe the drive is maybe a little more amped up, but I can't really say that. Like I was always hungry, and still to this day that I'm doing great in life, I'm still hungry. And generally speaking, like just because you reach a certain level, you're probably still going to be hungry. There are certain people that maybe have a level, like if they get $1 million, they're like happy at that point in time, right? For me personally, like there's no difference. Like I'm just as driven now as I was back then. And as far as stress, it's still about the same. Like as far as dealing with stress levels, it's still about the same. You're going to have stress as someone that's rich, and you're going to have stress as someone that's poor. They're just different stresses, right? When you're poor, you might be stressing over, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay the rent this month? Or how am I going to pay this cell phone bill over here? Or man, I wish I could eat at this restaurant, but I can't even afford it. You might have those type of stresses as someone that's poor, right? But as someone that's rich, your stresses just change to other things, okay? Because you have more money coming in, those type of things. There are a lot more things to worry about. You might have people around you that you're like, are they siphoning money? Things like that, right? So as someone that's rich, your stresses just change, and the stress goes from, oh, maybe I should make this move or that move versus, oh man, how am I going to pay the rent this month or something like that, okay? Now, there definitely are quite a bit of differences, okay? First one is I had to make connections. As someone that was poor or someone that was even middle class, I always had to make connections. If I wanted to be in contact with somebody, I had to personally make that connection. I remember when I started my real estate marketing company, every connection I built, I had to build that, okay? No one came to me. I had to send out the emails. I had to do the cold calls. I had to meet with people. And that's unfortunately just how it is when you don't have a lot of money. Nowadays, connections come to me. I don't have to make connections with anybody. Actually, it's too much nowadays. Every day I wake up to emails of people just trying to make connections with me. And that could be a cool thing, but at the same time, sometimes it's just honestly too much, okay? So there's definitely, when you reach certain levels, all of a sudden everybody starts coming to you. But when you're poor and you're middle class, no one comes to me. You have to, I remember literally like sending out emails. I would send out 100 emails to realtors when I first started my real estate marketing company, right? And I was just hoping that like one would get back to me. If just one got back to me, that would be a success for that day, man. And now pretty much anybody that I would even be interested in making a connection with, they come to me first and foremost. It's a whole different ball game, okay? Also, I didn't have many investing options as someone that's poor. I remember when I first started like looking into investing and whatnot, I was like, what options are there? I had like $1,000 saved or whatever. And so the only way for me really was stock market investing, because like savings accounts and checking accounts, things like that you don't make any money on your money. Real estate investing was totally out of it because I didn't have enough money to get started. Whereas nowadays, when you have a lot of money, basically there's almost like too many investing options. There's too many things to make your money. It's not just stocks, but it's also real estate. It's also thinking about, should I start another business? Should I put 10K to start this other business over here? Should I put 50K, 100K to start another business? Also, certain banks will give you higher percentages of returns on a savings account or something if you put, let's say, $100,000 in an account or $250,000 or something like that. So all of a sudden you go from there's not many investing options when you're kind of, someone that's poor and you don't have much money, to all of a sudden you're rich, and it's like it's too much at a point in time. It's like there's so many things you're always thinking about. Maybe I'm not making the right move here. Maybe I could make a lot more money if I stuff this 100K over here instead of over here or something like that. All of a sudden the options open up in a big way, and it's hard to decide like what's your best option there. Okay, I would say when I was poor and middle class, I was much more of an introvert. I would say nowadays I'm much more extrovert. Maybe that just happens to be like the fact that I'm older now. Maybe it happens to be that I'm on YouTube and things like that. I don't know what the reason is, but I can just tell you I'm much more outgoing of a person now. I like conversating with people much more now and kind of sharing ideas and things like that than back when I was a poor person or middle class. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the money that kind of changed me and made me more of an extrovert. Maybe I just felt more comfortable in myself. I have no clue what it is, but there's definitely been a big change as far as that goes with me, okay? When you're poor, you can't create any jobs. Like I couldn't create any jobs when I didn't have much money. Nowadays, it's a great feeling. Like if I want to create a job, if there's something I need done out there and I want to actually hire an employee, like I can make that move because I got the money to do that. And that's a terrific feeling, not just because it's something that I need done, but also it's the mere fact that all of a sudden I can, help someone else kind of level up and become better in life and things like that. Like that's just a good feeling when you can actually create jobs, and it's like, oh my gosh, if I hire someone and pay him $4,000 a month or $5,000 a month or whatever, that's going to sink me or something like that. Nowadays, it's just like, whatever, if I need it done, and it's a great feeling to be able to create jobs. That's probably one of the best things about having money, is that ability to actually create jobs, okay? As someone that's poor middle class, you have to do everything yourself. I had to do everything myself for the longest time, okay? And then when you become rich and you have a lot of money, you can start hiring people to do all your stuff. And I'm not even talking about like direct employees. I'm just talking about you can start having tax accountants. You can start having lawyers to kind of check things out. Hey, are we all legal here? Is there going to be any issue here? And things like that. You can start actually hiring out. When you're poor, you don't have money to hire a tax accountant. You don't have money to hire a lawyer. You don't have money to check into, hey, how can we get this tax credit so we can make even more money? Hey, how can we make this business formation over here so we get even more money? When you don't have money, you just don't have those type of connections and whatnot, and you can't pay those type of fees that basically those lawyers cost or those tax accountants or all those type of things, right? But when you have money, you can basically hire people to do all that stuff, and that's a great thing, because you start, as you make more and more money, a lot of times you start getting busier and busier just because you have so many other things going on that all of a sudden it starts getting hard to do all this stuff yourself. So the fact that you can hire is a great thing, okay? I would say when I was poor, I was super frugal, like ridiculously frugal. Like I was a type person, if I had to, and even middle class, if I happened to go out to eat or something, like,
man, I was calculating that bill to make sure I didn't tip any more than 15%. Like I was like 15%, that's it.
That's just a one thing that I was like super frugal about. But now I would say I'm much more giving. Like we go out, I'm tipping 25% or something like that. And if I get great service, I might tip 30% or 50% or something like that, because I have that type of money that I feel like I can give somebody a great part of their day by getting a tip that's 30% or 50% on a bill that's $100 or $150. It's just a good feeling for me, kind of helping out. And I just remember those super frugal days of just like calculating stuff and things like that. You could be much more generous when you become rich, which some people, it really exposes you. As you get more and more money, as you get rich, there are kind of two ways you can go. You can either go the more greedy route and you get even more greedy as you get more money, or you can become more and more generous as you get more money. Money just really exposes who you really are at the end of the day. Once you actually become rich and whatnot, you're just going to be exposed. If you're a more generous person, you're going to become a lot more generous when you're rich. If you're really that type of person that's all about greed and just taking and never giving back anybody in your community or other people or hiring jobs or things like that's just going to be exposed at the end of the day, okay? I so wish everybody could be rich, because everybody could just be exposed. I always hear so many people saying, oh man, if I just had 10 million, I would give it all away to charity and this and that. I so wish everybody could be rich, just so we could see who's truthful and who's just talking flack. This one's probably the biggest, okay? When I was poor and even middle class, I had scarcity mindset. Scarcity mindset's gonna cost you a lot of money. It's basically a mindset where you think there's only a certain amount of money out there and oh man, it's like impossible to make like more than 50 grand a year or more than 100 grand. Like I can't even imagine that. And if you've never done it and you haven't really been around people who have done it, you're gonna probably grow up with a scarcity mindset. And I had a scarcity mindset probably all the way up until about a year and a half or 2 years ago. That's when my mindset started to change. I started getting around different types of people who had a lot more money than me and whatnot and were making, hundreds of thousands a year or millions of dollars a year. And all of a sudden I got into an abundance mindset. And that's really the type of mindset you want to have. It's just really hard to get there if you've never done it yourself. And if you're surrounded by just, people that don't have much money, it's really easy to get in that scarcity mindset. And oh my gosh, there's only so much money out there. I can never make this or that. Also, once you start involving yourself with other people and once you actually start achieving it, you switch to an abundance mindset and you realize like there's a lot of money out there, man. There's a lot of money for you to go out there and make, okay? And this last one's a huge negative, okay? When I was poor and also when I was middle class, I had much of a growth at all costs type mindset, which is a horrible mindset to have, okay? Growth at all costs means you are willing to take any risk with your money just to try to level up to the next level, okay? If you got 100,000, you're trying to get to 200,000, or if you got $10,000, you're trying to get to that 20,000 as fast as possible. It doesn't matter what type of risk you got to take. You're just trying to get growth at all costs. And I had this mindset for a long time. And this mindset's what held me back in the end of 2014 going into 2015. I set up a margin account and I lose a massive amount of capital in a very short amount of time because I had this growth at all costs. I was like, I want to grow from 200,000 to $1 million overnight or in a year or something. It was so unrealistic. Nowadays, I have a growth with discipline mindset, which is the mindset you should have. Really don't matter where you are in life, whether you're poor, middle class, rich, it doesn't matter. You should always have a growth mindset with discipline, making sure you're not taking unnecessary risks because otherwise you're just going to keep taking, 10 steps back. Yeah, you might leap forward for a bit and then you're just going to end up taking more and more steps back because you're going to take these unnecessary risks. You're going to end up costing yourself a massive amount of money and all of a sudden you lose half your wealth or 3/4 of your wealth in a matter of a year or two and you're like, what just happened, okay? That's not what you want. You want growth with a disciplined mindset. And from my perspective, that's kind of the differences I've been seeing, basically between being poor and middle class and being someone that's now rich, okay? And there's definitely some similarities there. Anyways, I hope you guys kind of enjoyed just kind of getting inside my mind for a minute and me just sharing like my perspective on this. So anyways, I hope you guys achieve whatever it is you want to achieve, whether it's, becoming rich and driving Lamborghinis and Ferraris and having a mansion, or whether it's even getting a lot of money and just having the freedom that you can do whatever you want, wake up at whatever time you want and things like that. Or if you just want to be middle class, like there's nothing wrong with that. It's your life to live and you can live it how you want, guys. So anyways, thank you for watching and have a great day.